welcome back to Risk Takers and Trailblazers, Women in Insurance. I'm one of your hosts, Tanya, and I'm joined with our amazing co-hosts, Diane, Jen, and Helen. We've got a fantastic episode lined up for you today, one that's full of heart, honesty, and inspiration. We are sitting down with someone who's not only leading a fourth generation brokerage, but also boldly reimagining what leadership looks like in the industry today. Our guest is GIllian Van Kempen, President and COO of Best Buy Insurance Brokers and a proud member of the Canadian Broker Network. She's a force in the industry, a community builder, and a mentor to many. With more than 2 decades of experience and multiple professional designations under her belt, GIllian brings not only deep expertise, but refreshing human approach to everything she does. Welcome, GIllian, to the podcast today.
Yay, welcome. So happy to have you here, Jill.
Thank you so much. I wish I had my mug that I could cheers you guys from afar,
Oh,
but
I
as
know.
a few of you know, it got broken. Best intent. It's kind of hard to complain about my husband doing the dishes, and breaking things at in the same conversation, right? But
we can
yeah.
totally get you a second. Don't worry.
Okay. Well, I'll just have to fly to you to pick it up, so it's all good. Yeah.
Anytime. I'm in Calgary. Bring it over.
Yeah, I welcome the opportunity for sure. For
There
sure.
you go.
So much for having me. This is amazing. Wonderful.
Oh, thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Well, I think why don't we just jump right into everything? Because as Tanya mentioned, you are a fourth generation insurance professional, which is we've got a couple, me and Jen, I think are the second generations on this call, but a fourth generation, it's crazy.
I know.
So you took over your family's business, Best Buy Insurance,
Yeah.
and you've done a lot of innovative things that I know of even, but since then. Tell us about that journey. Give us the good, the bad, even if you want to throw in some of the ugly in there.
Wait, oh my goodness, yeah. There is some of that, right? Every now and then. Yeah. So it's, oh gosh, like where do you even begin? I don't know that I ever set out to be a fourth generation anything, right? Like it was big shoes to fill, I felt like at the time. My father had been in the industry for a long time. My grandfather, my great-grandfather had been in the industry. My grandmother worked in the brokerage with my grandfather, my great-grandfather. But as far as an ownership, leadership, standpoint goes, I'm the first Van Kempen generation, that's female to do that. So yeah, so it was a pretty big undertaking. And Dad used to tease me all the time when I was in university, when I kept saying, here's my career path. This is what I want to do. And he's like, oh, you don't want to take over the brokerage? Yuck, yuck, yuck. And I'm like, no. Like, I was literally like, no, that sounds like the most boring thing on the planet. Like, because there's a whole stigma around our industry that, we're boring old salesmen that show up knocking on your door with their briefcase, at dinner time.
Yep.
Like I think we were probably the original door-to-door salesman back in the day. We're not like that anymore, by the way, for anybody who's listening. Yeah, so then I guess when I leaned into it, I sort of took stock of what my dad had accomplished, the reputation that he had seemed to have built for himself, the career that he'd built for himself. And to be honest with you, my parents had nice stuff. And we went on fun trips, like we'd go to Disney every year around Christmas time and things like that. And I thought, hey, maybe there is something to this. So I decided to lean into that a little bit, finished university, immediately dove in to do all the professional designations. Because if I was going to do it, I was going to do it pretty seriously. I was going to, make sure I made my mark on the industry in the right way. And I earned all four designations, the CIP, the CAPE, the FCIP, and the CRM. So I kind of, went all in, and then my career sort of took me in different areas. My dad was pretty adamant that I needed to spend some time working on the other side of the industry, the other side of the business, not just diving straight into being a broker. So even though I got my broker's license in 1996, so I'm coming up on what's the math on that? 30 years? Is that crazy?
Yeah.
30 years as a broker. I actually went and worked on the company side. So I was in claims, and then I got hired to work for at the time it was referred to as the Financial Services Commission of Ontario in the Ombudsman's office, handling complaints about insurance companies. Surefire way to make some friends there.
Yep.
And to deal with some interesting people in the community that have nothing else to do but to call and complain about their insurance. And then I actually worked for the Insurance Institute for a while. Then I went back over to claims. Then I got pregnant with my son. And when I came back off mat leave, my dad had actually started Best Buy Insurance from scratch, having sold his prior brokerage. And yeah, so then he said, yeah, okay, I think you paid your dues on that side. You can come back, or you can join the office now. And so that's what I did. And I thought, okay, well, what's my place here? And I quickly realized that there were some inefficiencies in how we did certain things, fresh eyes, and not knowing any better. Then, we were a fairly early adopter of like client portals and mobile apps by a company named Trufla that, a few of you might have familiarity with there. So, we just technology, like there's better ways of doing things. There's smarter ways of doing things. We can work a little less harder and still accomplish the same tasks by doing so. And now, of course, again, as a couple of you are aware, we're changing our broker management system again to a much more intuitive, robust. I don't even like calling it a BMS. I really refer to it more as of a CRM because it is a more holistic environment for storing our client data and interacting with our clients. And we're going to be moving towards that in the next few weeks. So it's exciting and it's terrifying. And so far, so good. So but we'll see. It's still early days. This is the honeymoon phase right now. So we'll see where that goes from there. So
I'd love to stay in this space a little bit, GIllian, because
yeah.
you're really, I think, a pioneer right now in the taking a leap of faith and trying technology that's not really been tested out by people before.
No.
She's one of our betas for our True Market core systems, which is not a BMS, but it can replace a BMS, like GIllian said. And we brought you in very early in the stage.
Yes.
And tell us a little bit, because I find technology adoption fascinating for early adopters, because you really have to understand that big vision when every little thing is going wrong while you're trying to get to that big vision. And like, what is it? 70% of people abandon new technology because it can be so hard. So, what things did you do at your brokerage to prepare people for digital transformation?
Yep.
What helped and what did you learn? I know that you're still in the process, but I imagine there were some pain points and some celebrations.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. So I engaged my team really early on, and I was quite, I guess, open and honest with them about there's going to be pain points. But then I said to them, there's pain points with what we're doing right now and how we're doing it right now. So you've just adapted to that. So keep that in mind. And then I said, and also come with fresh eyes to the system, because it's going to look and feel different. But that doesn't mean that that's a bad thing. That just means that it's different, and you just kind of need to like lean into the discomfort a little bit, because I think you're going to find that it's better. Like I even just the keystrokes. So when we were doing the initial sort of discoveries, and and I had the team at Trufla on calls with me, and I'm showing them how we do quoting, right? So here's how we quote an auto policy, and literally it was like 20 minutes later, and they're like, okay, so like, what do you click to do the corresponding property? And I'm like, oh no. We got to do this whole thing all over again for property. And they're like, you're joking. And I'm like, no, I'm not joking. And then we got to then export the data that's here into this other part over here. And then because not everything moves over, then you got to click off a bunch of radio buttons and refill in a bunch of things that you already filled in over there, but the system for some reason doesn't know how to do that. So we got to do all that over again. Then we got to send it all off. We got to upload it to another software and then send it out for e-signature, and then chase the client for the e-signature. And then we got to ask for this, and this, and hope everybody's on the same page. And they were just like mind blown, like, oh my God, this must take you forever. And I'm like, yeah, welcome to our world. Like, and yet we're not using some fly by night BMS system currently. Like, we're using a system that a lot of other brokers use. And I don't understand why I mean, maybe because it was a legacy system, maybe because it's too clunky and like duct taped together to implement any changes to it at this stage. And
I'm going to
they're
say, honestly, Jillian, I think a lot of people in the broker
Mhm.
world, because that's where I'm from,
Right.
and merging into broker and insurtech now as well. But every broker follows brokers. We're
Yeah.
like ducks
Yeah.
that just follow along,
Yeah.
oh, you're doing that. Okay, I'm just going to follow it along. Right. So
Exactly.
this is definitely the time where we can start to turn things upside down and around
Yeah.
and go, you know what?
For
Blinders
sure.
off. There's other choices. And I think
Yeah.
that's what's happening now is more choices
Hmm.
are coming to the table because
Yeah.
the broker's world has continually said exactly what you've just said is
Hmm.
I got to do this, then this, and this. And people are finally listening and going, well, that is absurd
Hmm.
and way too timely
Yeah.
and not to mention costly.
It's
Because let's be
costly.
clear, that
Yeah.
And I
broker
think,
management system that's out there that most people use,
yeah,
isn't that
Yeah.
cheap?
Yeah. Yeah. And I said to them, I'm like, we don't have to be little lemmings. Like, like just because it's the way you've always done it
Yeah,
doesn't mean it's the right way to do it. It's just the
agreed.
way you've been forced. It's the workflow we've been forced to
Yeah.
use. And, and it's not necessarily, I want to be careful with my words here. It's not a shot at that specific
No.
BMS vendor.
Mhm.
Like they're all pretty much built the same way that they force feed you, workflows that obviously whoever designed them,
Worked at the time.
yeah, they
Funded.
worked at the time or oh, well, why don't we make it do this? And yet they were never the end user. So
Yeah,
they
Mhm.
never
here's the key.
understood, yeah, they never understood the practicality of how this actually plays out in the modern world or the actual real life situation. So did it have its time and its place? It 100%
Absolutely.
probably did.
Well, that's a risk. That's what I'm talking about.
It's a risk. But at the time I was like, oh my God, what am I thinking? But I legitimately was just like, let's do it. Like
Love
jump in
it.
with both feet. And I can't keep complaining that I'm stuck in this place and then not do anything. Like
Mhm.
definition of insanity, right? Like
Yeah.
doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So I was like, all right, let's just shake it up. Is it going to be perfect when it rolls out? Probably not. But like I said, I mean, the system that we're on right now is not perfect. The way we do things now is not perfect.
Yeah.
Um, and you kind of like you roll with it, right? So yeah.
I think the major difference too, when you look at the bigger incumbents versus like us, I'm not
Yeah.
trying to like plug us, but like
Yeah.
truthfully, we learned so much in those early implementation days with
Mhm.
Best Buy Insurance that we then brought it back to the table to improve. Like it's
Yeah.
constant, like your feedback is constantly improving True Market in the background. I remember seeing it just as it was launching at Best Buy. They were showing us the
Yeah.
tool to recently, and it's like it felt like a completely different platform. And I
Yeah.
think you're an incubator for us. Like, let's just say what it is. You're an incubator. You're helping us create this technology for other brokerages by learning your workflow, by learning what's missing, by learning how we can optimize it. And I think that's a really big deal, Jillian. Like, that's a big risk.
Yeah.
It's a really big
Thank
deal.
you.
I know it wasn't easy. And yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty terrifying when you sort of take a step back and go,
Mhm.
wow, you're really doing this. Okay, cool. This could be really, really good or really, really not so good. Um, but like I said, it's all about trusting the people behind it and I do like they're such good people and I yeah and they're nimble enough, right?
Mhm.
Like the team is nimble enough that when I come back to them and go, ooh, okay, can we do this instead of that, and here's the reasons why. um and we have dialogue about it. It's not just like everything I say, oh, this needs to be changed, that they're like, yeah, okay. Sometimes they'll say, well, this is actually why, like, hear us out. you know we understand you want this, but over in this section, it's going to take care of that. And I'm like, oh, okay, perfect. We're good then. Or I'll suggest something, and then they're like, oh, yeah, okay, we didn't actually think about that part, so no problem. And then, sure enough, like a week or two or three or whatever it is later, depending on how robust this change is, it gets implemented and it gets adopted, and Sharif's been really hands-on. I've been dealing with a lot of the team, and that's been really, really great. And my people, even just seeing it in those early days,
Mhm.
like literally, I kind of half joked with Sharif. I'm like, I could watch their heads explode on the Zoom call. Like they were just blown away
Mhm.
by what the capabilities of this new system was. So they're super excited to get started and to just kind of like jump in with both feet, and they cannot wait to be done with the way we've been doing things. So because it's
Nice.
yeah, it's time for a new era. So
Bring it,
yeah,
GIllian.
exciting. Bring it. Can't wait. I can't wait. Yeah.
Be that innovative thinker, right? And push
Yeah.
forward. That's the
Yeah.
key, I think, is, you know,
Exactly.
the fact that I think some of it also is as women, we're
Hmm.
like, change is better, and there's maybe just sometimes a different way. So I
Sure.
think we think differently about the processes and
Sure.
the whole change. So,
Yeah.
and you challenging the fact that, okay, yeah, there is something probably that can be done
Right.
differently,
Yeah.
right? Not saying that men don't think like that, but I'm just saying
No.
in our roles, I truly do think that that's
Yeah.
what we gravitate to.
For sure.
Do
Yeah.
you think it is? I think we have so much on our plate. Like as women in the workforce,
Yeah.
we take on maybe a lot more than some of
Yeah.
our counterparts, so that we're constantly working for efficiencies. Honestly,
We have to.
we
Yeah.
we have to because you're
Yeah.
juggling. It's not just work you're juggling a whole ecosystem of like everything at once. So that,
Yeah.
And
yeah.
you do that not just at work.
Hmm.
You do those looking for efficiencies
Yeah.
outside of your
Hmm.
your job, your role, right? Your mom
Yeah.
job, you are a daughter as well. So in your daughter job, you're probably looking sometimes for efficiencies on how to navigate, getting mom and dad somewhere, or mom and dad need help or something like that. You're looking at efficiencies, and no different
Mhm.
than with your own children.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it's funny. I mean, even in my personal life, like I feel like everything, like I can't go from one end of the house to the other without thinking of the things that I'm going to pass on that route and what maybe needs to get done on the way. So you
Hmm.
know what I mean? Like if I'm going to
Hmm.
pass the bathroom and I know I might need to put more toilet paper, then I'm making sure that I'm
Yeah,
grabbing the toilet paper as I pass the laundry room. So then when I get to the bathroom, then I can put the toilet paper there. And then I'm going to put in a load of laundry because if I'm in the laundry anyways, I may as well do that. And then the dishwasher's already running, so that's
sure.
taken care of. Like it's like we're just constantly,
Yeah,
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 mapping it all out.
yeah,
exactly. And
Yeah.
it's a lot.
it's efficiencies. And yet my husband, and I love this man to death, he'd do the laundry, and then I'd be like, okay, but you could have been doing five other things while that load was
Oh
washing.
my
What?
gosh, samesies. I don't understand the not multitask.
I was like, but you could have it all doing like automation. Come on,
But
what's the matter with you?
in some ways I'm envious of the lack of
Yeah,
that, just that the brain for some of them just is, or for some people are just not wired that way. And
Yeah.
in some ways I'm very, envious of that, because it's the same thing. It's like always firing,
I know.
and I'll grab this on the way, and it's yeah. So then it just kind of never turns off, right?
I know.
Sometimes it's
Seriously.
just like to be bliss. It's like, oh yeah, I guess I could have done five other things in that hour, but but I didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Imagine not thinking about it. Can you imagine just
Yeah,
shutting your brain off and just,
that'd be so nice.
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
Like,
yeah, exactly. It's
yeah.
so I had a question. So you've got five kids between the two of you. Two of them are biological. They're all kind of around the same age. How are you managing? How do you, like, what are some tactics where we're
Uh,
probably all in the same boat, but
yeah.
how does that look like, when you're running a business and managing five kids?
And and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and specifically back when they were younger.
Mm.
Oh,
Exactly.
They're in their 20s now,
Mhm.
so roll it back even 10 years.
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
five. Like, I
I
feel
know.
like the
Yeah.
teens are very, very demanding.
Yeah.
They
Like
are.
almost like a
They can be.
three-year-old, just in a different demanding way.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh gosh, back to the days that I could lay out what my daughter was going to wear and that was agreeable. And now I get absolutely no say in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Or no
that's
say in
fine.
it, but you still have to buy it, and then
I
and
still
then
got
you
to buy it.
And
Yeah.
launder it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's got like I don't even think I own anything Lululemon. And yet her, you open up her closet and it's like, factory warehouse sale or something. But um yeah, it's there's that whole like everyone talks about work-life balance, work-life balance, work-life balance.
There is none.
No.
That's
I
a magical unicorn like that people are chasing that doesn't exist.
know. When we
Um
just need to just drop that whole narrative
yeah,
because it doesn't exist. And
It
I
no.
think
sets you up for
it
failure right away.
exactly. It just does more harm.
It-
Embrace it because there's no like,
yeah,
if you're trying to shoot for some goals, major goals,
yeah.
medium goals, whatever they are, there
Yeah.
is life balance. So
No, exactly. And I mean, I think a much better term is harmony, work-life harmony, right? Because harmony allows for some imbalance, whereas balance, like anything gets too much on the one side, and the whole thing sort of tips. Um, and I've kind of always said to people, I'm like, I don't live to work. Like, I
Yeah.
work so that I can have the things that live the life that I want to live. So I really make a point of my family is my priority.
Yes.
And by extension, my work family is also part of that. I really instill in them, I guess, the flexibility to also make sure that they don't miss those moments in their family's lives.
Mhm.
So if somebody messages me, and says, "Oh, I have to do this for, some family member, or I got to drive a parent to a doctor's appointment, or I got to do this." I'm like, "Okay, go be where you gotta be. Like that's okay." Like the world's not gonna
Yeah.
fall apart at Best Buy. Like we've got a team that'll back you up. So go be where you need to be. And, so yeah, I think, but it was, and I've started to say no to things, which is weird for
Nice.
me
How does
because
that feel? Let's focus on that. How does that
it's
feel?
so weird. Like, because I again joked that I almost have volunteer, Tourette's, like my hand just voluntarily just like goes up like, "Hey, I'll do it." And then I was like, stop, like you can't be everything to everybody, you can't do everything for everybody,
yes.
and you're going to burn yourself out trying to be everything to everyone. And yeah, so I dialed that back. And it used to be I never wanted to miss an industry function, and I got invited to the dinner out and cocktail reception, that and whatever. And broker convention, I would never ever miss that. And never understood why my dad never wanted to go. And he's like, I've been there and I've done that, and I'm good. And I was like, when I was younger and I had first joined the brokerage, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe you wouldn't want to go. It's so much fun. And
Yeah.
now it's just like you just get a different perspective on, how your time is spent, because you only get so much of that time. You know
But
what I mean?
doing it
Priorities.
when you
Yeah.
were younger,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I fully endorse
Mhm.
because that's what has helped build
The
you,
network. Yeah.
your network,
Yeah.
your understanding, your relationships, the pain points in other brokerages, right? That's the part of it.
There was a podcast that I listened to, story to refer to a podcast within a podcast, but
It's very
All good.
meta.
yes, it's the great prophet Mel Robbins, and I listened to one of her podcasts, and she talked about the value of time,
Mhm.
and the statistic that she gave was that by the time your kids hit, say, the age of 18 and are moving off to university, you've already spent 90% of the time that you're going to
With them.
spend with them. And I went, holy shit,
That hits.
I remember that one.
like
That's brutal.
yeah, and I was just like, oh my God. Like, and so it's got to be now.
Yeah.
It's got to be now,
Yeah.
because I'm not going to get that back. And they're going to go off and live, live their fullest lives and do all the things and make all the silly mistakes that we made, because the heaven forbid they listen to us. And, but it is what it is.
Hey,
Yeah. Very
So
true.
this time has gone by very fast,
yeah.
Jillian. We didn't
And
even get through half the questions we wanted to ask you. So we have to book the part
Part
two
have
two.
to
to
do a
this
part two.
podcast. Yeah, definitely, because there were some juicy questions we wanted to ask, and I really want to ask them. So
Yeah.
listeners, stay tuned for part two. But I do want to end the podcast. If you could give one piece of advice for an inspiring woman leader in the industry,
Mhm.
would you give her?
Hmm.
Can
You
I
know,
put one weird spin on this quick
okay.
before you go? Sorry to interrupt. can you also lean it towards taking over a legacy business? I know
Sure.
that's a loaded question, but
Yeah.
I just, yeah.
Yeah. You gotta find your people.
Mm,
Like
agree with that.
friendships. Yeah, friendships. Just in your life, that's the family you choose for yourself.
Yeah.
And your career should be no exception.
Mhm.
Um, because joining, as an example for my office specifically, the Canadian Broker Network, like the folks that I have made friends with through there, I can navigate more complex situations than I have the realm of experience,
Mhm.
navigating because they've already done it,
Mhm.
and they're there as a resource to me. It's like being surrounded by, because I am one of very few, women that are members of CBN, and that's not by design. That's just how that's worked out. But it's like I'm surrounded by this gaggle of big brothers, and they only seem to want to see everybody succeed. Like we're competitors, but we're not competitors, and so it's an interesting dynamic. But I've been able to take on things that I or consider opportunities that maybe I had not considered before. Um, yeah, so that part's been really good. So surround yourself with good people, find out who those good people are, and you know what, the ones that are not worth your time, cut them loose and cut them loose quick.
Oh my
um
God, that's
Agreed.
even
Agreed.
that's
We're
a
doing an
total another
episode on
episode that
that.
we
Gillian, we should
Total
do
other
that.
effort. Yes,
yeah.
but also be very careful. I think the other piece of advice I would give is as vast as this industry appears to be, it is also very tight knit.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So even if you are parting ways with a position or a career or with a role at a certain place, don't burn any bridges. Take the
Nope.
high road and
Always.
chin up and off you go and on to bigger and better things, I'm sure. But yeah, find those people, because again, I joke, and I think I've said that a few times in this episode. If I didn't have friends in this industry, I swear to God, I wouldn't have any friends. Like, because so much of my life,
Right. Right.
is this industry.
Sure.
And that's not just a 9 to 5, Monday to Friday thing. Yeah, that's it. Surround yourself with those people,
Amazing.
because they're the ones that are going to pull you through. So,
Amazing advice, sage advice, and
like
Mhm.
you
we're
ladies.
sure we're
We
sure
say
gonna
it
do part
often,
two. We're gonna do
don't
part
we,
two.
Tan? We
Yes,
say it often that we have
yeah.
found this is part of why we all came together, found
Yeah,
our tribe,
yeah.
right? Find your
We
people.
lean on each other. We give each other advice, and we learn like from you, Jillian, and from all our guests that have been on. I think I've grown so much professionally over the past year, professionally and personally over the past year, like unbelievable. So.
Yeah.
Thank you. We do have to wrap it up, but we will get you back, Jillian, I promise. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. Please like and subscribe, share with anybody you think this episode would resonate with, and we will see you on the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Yeah.